Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We are here with War number 2 of Season 49, and Matrix has matched up against S. Their name used to be Suida's Alliance, but after Suida left to join Noon, their new name is something else. I don't know what it is, so if I call them Suida's Alliance by accident, it's just because of familiarity, because I'm pretty sure every other time I've ever faced them in War, they've been Suida's Alliance. Suida actually did rejoin them for this season, so I guess it's sort of Suida's Alliance, but the Alliance isn't named Suida's. Doesn't matter. Unimportant. And as you can see here, we have one of my newest rank 2 7-stars that I did in one of my videos that I posted. We have Sorcerer Supreme on War Attack, and basically the strategy is to get rid of the armor up. And this is path 3, where you get, I don't think it's power steal, I think it's power burned. You get power burned and you take big damage if you hit a defender that has armor ups. And if you know the way that Odin works, he doesn't get back his armor ups naturally. He only gets it from, I believe, SP3 gives him all his buffs back. If I'm recalling correctly, this is just based off of fighting him in Necropolis. I don't actually know 100%, but yeah, we got a really big SP2 crit there from Sorcerer, and we got pushed to SP3 with Mystic boosts, so that fight went down very cleanly. But I'm actually running the double Mystic duo this war of Hood and Sorcerer. Hood has 6 fights this war, Sorcerer has 2. So we are going into this Elsa Bloodstone. There's really not much to say about this matchup. The only dangerous thing that Elsa can do is Purify, and our prowess passives from the global attacker tactic, they prevent Purify. So there's really nothing to worry about. We also are going to throw in a couple extra heavy attacks because, again, I just have so many fights with Hood this war that I'm not trying to make anything too scary by running out of bullets. So in 2 of my fights specifically, which are going to be actually my first and my last, and I'm going to be throwing basically a couple extra heavy attacks, and I also throw 1 extra heavy attack in my 3rd last fight with Hood. So you'll see. I don't know why I'm getting so specific. I'd probably do it in other fights as well. But there, I did unfortunately get pushed to my SP3 after my SP2 because my SP3 just not nullified, power stole too many times. Basically my SIG triggered too many times, so I got pushed to SP3. Not that big of a deal. But here we have Deathless King Groot, and the thing about Deathless King Groot is that the tactic prowesses don't shut down his ability to remove Furies. I'm not 100% sure exactly how they work. All I know is that the tactic doesn't work. So I had 5 prowesses there, and maybe he just has like an insane amount of increased ability accuracy. That could be it, but this node is really easy. This is just the protection knockdown node. There's really nothing else to this node. We're just going to cycle a few SP2s, throw in a couple heavy attacks, down to 22 bullets, and again, because I have so many fights with Hood, you'll notice I am throwing some extra heavy attacks, like there we go. But we're just going to bait SP1. We're just going to be patient here. We are going to be constantly nullifying. For example, you can see 11 buffs are about to come, and that's not nullified, that's preventing buffs. So if I had allowed those buffs to trigger, then I would have gained back a whole bunch of bullets when I nullified them with the SP2, but because I prevented them from triggering, I don't get anything. But we are going on to our next fight here, Crossbones, and this is a pretty straightforward fight. He's not going to be able to purify. He is going to be able to reduce our ability accuracy with the buffs, like he normally can, but he cannot purify our debuffs because of the tactic. And we're getting a whole bunch of prowess, a whole bunch of prowesses here. Going for a couple medium attacks. There he does make a parry fail because he did have Furies. Not really that big of a deal. We're about to get to our SP2, and at which point the fight is basically over. He can't do anything because power backs are just going to keep getting me back to an SP2. I go for a heavy attack there, go for another SP2 right here, and I think I go for another heavy attack right away, and that should take him down. There we go. The fight does go down in a little under 40 seconds. So I'm happy with how the path fights went, right? But now we get into what was undeniably not only the hardest fight for me this war, but the hardest fight on the map, period. Rank 3 Serpent on node 38. And this is the main reason that I'm bringing Sorcerer Supreme. I don't really know why we didn't send White Tiger. Maybe it's that we only have like one or something, and it didn't really work out that they could bring White Tiger this war. But the strategy with Sorcerer Supreme is pretty clear. You get up the regen passive, which allows you to regenerate 85% of blocked hits, which is how you survive all the SP1s and SP2s you have to block in this matchup. And you use the tactic prowesses to lower the potency of his power gain so that doesn't become an issue. And so far, we're doing pretty well. I have not been able to remove the protection, but we're going to remove it right here with an SP2. Now, unfortunately in this matchup, due to the debuff immunity that triggers on knockdowns, you are not able to take advantage of Sorcerer Supreme's armor breaks, which are fairly potent and actually do help a lot with damage. But obviously, the majority of Sorcerer Supreme's damage comes from her blessings, her runes. So I am able to do that. By throwing SP2s, you are able to gain more than you consume. Here, he wasn't throwing the SP2, so I noticed that I was in my power gain mode, which means I can safely throw my SP2 without pushing into SP3. Unfortunately, even through the invuln boost, the burst damage almost kills me, and I'm going to make another mistake right here, and I am unfortunately going to eat the SP1. I was just, like, on both occasions, on the SP2 and the SP1, I was just slightly late on the decks, and that's just because I don't have that much experience fighting him, and I know that his specials are designed to have that very brief passive unblockable for the purpose of making sure that you react, because you can block the rest of the specials safely. But the aggression prowess plus the specials was just not enough, and even with an invuln boost, I pretty much get one shot from that SP2, because let's be honest, with 50% of the health left, or of the fight left, even if I don't eat that SP1, you really think I survive long enough to kill him? Probably not. The SP2, eating the SP2 is pretty much a death sentence, especially being in Assassin's range. And in this fight, this second fight, the cleanup, I definitely do a lot better job of managing the fight. And what I mean by that is managing the protection, because that was not something I did super well in the first fight. And I'm not saying I would have survived. Obviously, I would not have survived if that's the change that I made to my playstyle. But what would have happened is I would have dealt a lot more damage. I probably would have gotten him down to about 30-40%. And here, unfortunately, I'm going to throw my SP3. Now, Sorcerer has a very hard-hitting SP3. The problem is I didn't remove protection. I went for a medium attack, and I panicked and pressed the special button as fast as I could, hoping that maybe I hadn't been pushed to SP3 yet, and I was still at SP2. But what I should have done is I should have just calmed down, dashed back, parry heavy, then throw the SP3. That is what I should have done, and it would have done a lot more damage. Now, it's not going to end up mattering because, spoiler alert, I don't end up dying a second time to this fight. But right there, you can see just how nice that regen is. The regen passive on Sorcerer, I mean, not only is it at this point over 200 flat regen per tick, but it's also gaining back 85% of block damage that you take is really good. 85% is a great number. That is a lot. And yeah, like I said, I did a lot better job in this fight of blocking the specials correctly and not face blocking them. But because of the prowesses from the attacker tactic, I am not worried at all in this fight about the power gain that he gets when he goes into his death immunity, nor am I worried about the regen, because obviously Sorcerer is going to outdamage it pretty easily. But obviously, that's not really the concerning part of Serpent on this node. The concerning part and the whole point of putting Serpent here is if you eat a special attack, you're dead. And unfortunately, that did happen once, so I died once. You know, it happens, and it is a really brutal fight. Because not only is my Sorcerer a lower rank than the Serpent, Sorcerer also gains a ton of utility from her dupe ability and high sig. Not only do you get more damage from the increase in potency from your fury, you also get stronger block proficiency, you get longer stuns on your parries, and you also gain more power control. So maybe if my Sorcerer was a... Well, I wouldn't have survived. I'm just saying, like, those are some of the things that put me at an even greater disadvantage here. This fight here, I'm actually really, really happy with how this went. This is a rank 3 7-star Adam Warlock on node 42. Now, node 42 is something I'm very familiar with. I take it all the time with Hood. And Adam Warlock can actually be pretty annoying on some other nodes. Now, I have taken him before here on this node, so it's not anything crazy. Like, it's nothing new. It's just a good matchup, right? And Adam Warlock just doesn't really become a problem if he doesn't have a way to bypass the miss, which is the main reason that he is such a annoying champion to fight on node 47. The reason that people generally don't send Hood unless you have a Wags pre-fight, because your ability to get openings is severely limited once you can't nullify the buff that bypasses miss that Adam Warlock gets because of that node, because his what's it called, sovereignty buff prevents nullify. But anyways, here we have Nova on hazard shift, and this is another fight that could have been better, but it wasn't awful. And I'm going to do a bad job of managing the global in this fight, and he is going to go indestructible quite a lot. Now, Nova's AI is a very aggressive AI, and there I actually do space the heavy counter heavy correctly. Here I do it incorrectly. Like, what am I thinking? I do it correctly the first time, and then I do it exactly the same, or like I do exactly the same thing totally differently the second time. Like, how does that make sense? That's just such a stupid thing to do. I don't know. I don't know why I do a lot of things, but that was one especially stupid thing there. I don't know why I thought he was charging in. I did. I thought he was charging in. He was not. And I threw a heavy into the air. Luckily, he did not punish. But yeah, at this point, he is indestructible. He's not taking damage. I'm doing my best, hitting my parries, hitting my re-parries, but he's going for a ton of heavy attacks, going for another SP2. Now, at this point, if I can just get a heavy attack off, I can kill him. So close. There, I dex right before my my striker. If I hadn't dex there, I would have been fine. Here, he throws another SP2. He's at 4 indestructibles. I'm just going to hit hella re-parries. There I hit 2 re-parries. I hit another one. I just go for SP3. I was like full panic mode. And this is not a hard fight. Let me be clear. This is a bad placement for Nova. This is a fight that 9 times out of 10, I should be finishing at 80% health in under 60 seconds. This should be a 45-second fight in which I finish with 80% health. But, because I'm dumb, that's what happens. Anyways, let's go to the next fight here. I did just swap my masteries real quick because I had to turn off Mystic Dispersion for this fight here because Mystic Dispersion just gives you way too much power against Sersi. It's better to just turn it off. We do have to use a couple potions here to get Hood back up, but this Sersi is a very easy placement. Sersi's not a very good defender if you have anyone that counters her even somewhat. She's only really a good defender if you have absolutely no counter, but this fight is really nice. I noticed that I start with 10 of my bullets, so I start off the fight with 4 heavy attacks, and that is essentially just to get me back a bunch of bullets, and then at that point I will start hitting. So there, 4 heavy attacks, I'm up to 28. I am going to go for an SP2, going to get me back to an SP2. So I'm going to go for an SP2, it's going to get me back to an SP2. So I'm going to go for an SP2, guess what? It's going to get me back to an SP2. So I'm going to go for an SP2, and then I'm going to heavy, and she's dead. Yeah, that's how easy Sersi is on this node. 0 Mystic Dispersion. That was all power back boosts. She gone. She gone. And let's just, there we go. There we go. We lost this war. So it was a close war, and to be honest, we could have won. The other alliance cleared with 8 deaths, and we had 12. For the first while in the war, they were winning by quite a lot, and then they threw. They threw and they died something like 6 times in their last 40 fights after dying only twice in their first 110. And then we were winning for a while, and then we threw again. And we, at the time that I died, the war was already fully lost. They had 8 deaths. They had already cleared everything, and I believe I was our 10th or 11th death. I do know that I was the only death in my battle group, which was funny. My death to Serpent was the only death that my battle group had. So we had a really nice war, other than myself, for eating that SP2. But yeah, overall, S does beat us. I don't know if they have like, I think they have a different name now, and I should probably learn it so I can stop saying S. But they know what I mean. They know what I mean. I just don't want to say Sweeta's Alliance because that's what I would call it before, and they changed their name. So that is all for the war. We are now 1-1 on the season, and my death total is up to 1. My PSR this season is 12 solos out of 13, or 92% solo rate. And since I had Adam Warlock, Nova, and Sersi after the fight I died to, my deathless streak is up to 3 fights. So that's going to be all for this one. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next war where I have a bullseye boss with Gambit. So that should be fun. See you all later. Bye.